Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do a Q&A all about this decision to stop my online sex ed work, because I imagine you have a lot of questions. But this video is actually being filmed before the public announcement, but my patrons know. And so these questions were all gathered from my patrons, but hopefully they are reflective of a lot of the questions that you all have. And let's get into answering them. I have, of course, split it up into different themes to help organize my brain. And this video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for creators, entrepreneurs, and freelancers to stand out and succeed online. Okay, let's get into these questions. The first theme is all about decision making. Did meeting with a career coach help you make the decision, and could you talk about the process behind using a career coach? So I talked a lot more in detail about using a career coach in the video that I did all about how I made the decision, because yes, having a career coach was something that really helped me organize my thoughts, figure out what my priorities were and what it was that I wanted to do, what it was that I needed to do. But in terms of the process, there are lots of different ways that you can work with a career coach. I've seen some who offer like packages, like you work with them on a specific thing over 3 months, and there's, you know, the sessions and different activities and things to do, and it's a lot more structured. My experience was not the kind of structured package thing. It was just like ad hoc one-off sessions, just reaching out as and when I was like, I need to talk with you. So it wasn't like anything that we had like booked in on a regular basis. It was always just like I would reach out if I felt like I needed to like work through some things with her. So if you are looking for a career coach, there's definitely like different ways of working with people and like find the right thing that just suits you. Do you think your decision would have been influenced if you had moved house? Knowing what you know now, do you wish you'd moved, or are you glad you stayed? This is such an interesting question because I hadn't even thought about this. I hadn't really considered the like, what if? I don't think it would have changed the decision. Like, I think this still would be happening. I think it might be easier if we were in like a bigger house now, but I only say that because of this studio and the fact that I'm going to be leaving this studio in a few months. So finding the space in our current 2-bedroom flat to fit all of this stuff is a mission in itself. But actually, I really like what we're doing with the flat and what we've done with the flat. And there is going to be a whole Vlognica video of a big living room transformation in anticipation of needing more storage, because this needs to come home. I don't think it would have changed the decision, but it will make my kind of like work setup and working from home setup very different, because I'm not going to have the studio anymore. If we were in a big house, I maybe would have like my own home office, like separate room, whereas I'm going back to the days of like working from my laptop at the kitchen table, which is fine. You got to do what you got to do. How did you decide when to make this change? So the decision was made around the summer. That was when I kind of like internally realized what I had to do and had settled with it. And then it was really this case of like thinking practically about how and when. Initially, with some of the conversations with my career coach, it was like, oh, it can be this really like slow process, like there's no rush. But once I had made up my mind, once I knew, it was like my brain was just like, okay, this needs to happen like now. That's just how my brain works. And so it was a case of like, okay, what is realistically the earliest time that we could do this? And so we were working on the podcast, and I knew that would be coming to an end early December. Then there was Vlognica, and then it was just like, oh well, end of the year, like we can kind of do it all around then, and that kind of like all ties in nicely. So it just kind of happened this way. What finally pushed you to take that step? So I think because the decision to kind of move away from things, stop certain projects and whatever, had always been like hypothetically there for years. And it had always been this thing that I was like, what if, or like, oh, I wish I could do that. But it never felt like a necessity until this year. Like this was the first year where I felt that kind of like urgency, that panic, like just a real stress of like something needs to change. Whereas previously it was just like throwaway comments of like, ugh, this is annoying, like I want to do something else. Whereas it was just like, oh no, like this needs to change. And that urgency was more felt in the kind of like finances and mental health realms. And then I would be lying if I said that obviously like having a baby wasn't like a huge factor in how things like played out and changed in those respects. When did you decide you were making this change in regards to what we were seeing / what you were still working on? Yeah, so everything that you've seen for the last couple months or read or whatever behind the scenes, like I've known. There's definitely been some more Hannah videos where there's been like questions about career stuff or questions about YouTube stuff where it's like, what would you do if you weren't doing this? And I'd be like, oh, I would do this, and like answering it as if it's this like hypothetical thing, but I'm like, no, but really this is what's happening. So that was kind of fun but a bit difficult at times. Sometimes it was really hard to like try and make stuff about anything else when my brain was very much like occupied by this thing that I couldn't talk about yet. But now that's all I want to talk about. So the next theme is all about identity and fame. So how does this impact your identity? And do you know what? I don't know yet. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that changes and manifests next year when I'm no longer doing any of the sex ed stuff. But there is a part of me that like feels sad about it, but also like it isn't gonna go. Like the identity of me being like a massive sex nerd and like wanting to talk to anyone and everyone about sex and relationships and like reading the books and stuff, like that's not gonna go away. That still feels like very much me. It's just not necessarily gonna be a huge part of my public identity anymore. But of course we've got the sex book club with patrons that's gonna be starting next year. So I'll be able to like channel some of that into that project. But I'm also kind of excited to see like what happens when that isn't part of my public identity. What are your feelings on continuing to be a public figure via more Hannah and social media? So there was a point where I was like, do I need to go cold turkey and not do any YouTube at all? That was, you know, part of the process of making the decision is about being like, what if I did this? What if I did this? And like kind of sitting with it and seeing how that feels practically and emotionally. And so of course I was like, okay, what if I stopped YouTube entirely? How does that feel? And one of the things that really helped me decide that actually it was something that I wanted to keep doing was a lot of the conversations that have been happening recently around like older influencers. So Chelsea Fagan talks about this a lot. She says that she only follows people like over 50 years old on Instagram, which I love. And then my friend Melanie Murphy made a video recently about like how she feels like an aging influencer. She's got the house, she's got the husband, she's got the kids. By all means, in terms of the stories and the narratives that we see growing up, that's like the end, like happy ending, bye, done. When actually there is so much life to live beyond that. And it was really interesting kind of diving into some of these conversations around like, actually, yeah, do you know what? We see a lot of people in their 20s, like young influencers and stuff, and that's like a huge part of it. But actually like having representations of people older in their 30s and 40s doing the stuff online, I was like, oh, actually, not that I'm continuing it because I think it's like this moral good thing. We need the representation of your cis white middle class woman. But that was still definitely a factor in like, oh no, this is actually like good, this is positive, this is something that I find really fun and want to continue doing as well. So that's kind of how I feel about that. And then, do you think it is harder to be a woman in this industry, and could YouTube do any more to help? I don't really think there's much that YouTube could do. I don't know. Over the years, I've been in a million discussions and been on and also watched many women on YouTube panels over the years. And that's like a whole thing in terms of like harassment online and like audience demographics and like all of that kind of stuff. But I think the bigger problem isn't the platforms, it's just state support for people that like want to have kids. That's what I've found as the biggest challenge personally, is that in terms of this industry of being like a freelance creative or an influencer or a content creator or whatever, and then like what happens when you have a baby? And that could be in any industry. If you're a freelancer, there's like, oh shit, what do I do? Like when you have a baby, if you're like a small business owner or something, there is obviously that added pressure of like the algorithms and like if you stop posting, do you stop posting, and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know what the answers are. There are a million and one different ways that it's harder to be a woman doing this, but that's just because of patriarchy, and it shows up in the kind of similar ways in every industry. But for me personally, I've definitely noticed it more in terms of the like practical, financial, structural support decisions around like having a baby and creating content. Like how do you do that? Our next category is all about content. Will the Hannah Witton channel stay up? So yes, absolutely. Hannah Witton channel is staying up. Videos will remain there. I like the idea of it just staying there as an archive. I think those videos are still really valuable and people may want to revisit them. New people will find them. The videos are staying. Also, I recently learned in terms of the YouTube Partner Program. So this is the program that you're a part of that allows you to earn money from your videos. And this is what their website says. It says, we may turn off monetization on channels that haven't uploaded a video or posted to the community tab for 6 months or more, which is news to me. I only found out about this after having made this decision, but it says we may. So I don't know. Either I need to reach out to someone at YouTube and be like, is monetization gonna be turned off my channel? Because I would still like to be able to like earn money on my back catalog and all of that work that was put in. I would still like to be able to earn money from that. Or every 6 months or so, you're just gonna see a community post from me on that channel being like, hey guys, just posting here to keep monetization on. Hope you're all doing well. So who knows? And then another thing to consider is actually in some contracts that I have with brands in terms of brand deals where they're sponsoring a video, in the contract, it's like the video has to stay live for at least 12 months. And so I'm not gonna like do anything drastic in case I'm in breach of any contracts with brands. But speaking of brands, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for freelancers, creators, and entrepreneurs to build their websites and stand out and succeed online. I use Squarespace for all of my websites, hannahwitton.com and the Doing It podcast website as well. They have amazing flexible website templates with designs for every kind of use, whatever it is that you are after. Find the one that is right for you and then you can customize it with all of your own branding and content. They have loads of different features, so you pick the ones that meet your needs and it is so easy to use. All of the hard work is done for you. One of the big things on my to-do list for next year is to obviously update my website. I need to rewrite some of the website copy, move some bits around, just make it more relevant to my career stage now, but that can be a task for next year. But Squarespace makes doing any like edits like that super easy. Squarespace also has an online store where you can sell physical or digital products and services, and it is all taken care of for you. Everything is integrated and super easy to use. We use the Squarespace online store to sell Sexy Scribbles, which is my digital sex positive coloring in book. And actually, we are no longer going to be selling that from the end of this year. So right now we are running a sale. So if you have never got yourself Sexy Scribbles, now is the time, now is your last chance. It is 50% off on both of the digital colouring in books that we have. So if you want to do some sex positive colouring in over the holiday season, now is your chance. And you can get that running a sale, 50% off. Go get it. Won't be available after the end of this year. Boom, boom, boom. And then another thing that Squarespace can do, which actually might be a feature that I end up using more next year with this new career change and stuff, is appointments. So allowing people to schedule time with you, it's syncing perfectly with your calendar and allowing you to take payments or not, depending on like what it is that the appointments or services are for. Just saves you loads of time instead of having to do lots of back and forth emails. People can book one-to-ones, sessions, workshops, group classes, whatever it is that you and your business do. And it takes secure payments and sends everybody reminders. What more could you want? So if you are looking to create your own website, brand, online presence, then head to squarespace.com to start your free trial. And then when you are ready to launch it all to the world, you can go to squarespace.com/morehannah to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. Now back to your questions about the content. How often do you plan on making more Hannah videos? Great question, because actually this is something that I'm thinking of changing, but I haven't decided to what yet. So currently, more Hannah videos, when we're not doing Vlognica, when it's on a weekly basis, go out on Thursday at 4 p.m. Now, because I look after Rowan on Fridays, Thursday is my last working day, and I finish around 4:30 to go and pick up Rowan. And so this always means that a video goes out, and then I'm like wrapping up all of the tasks for the end of the week, and then that's it. Then I'm like, clocked off until Monday. So I very rarely like get the chance to really be present for the More Hannah videos going live in terms of like responding to comments and promoting on Instagram and like all of that kind of stuff. So as the More Hannah videos are going to be the only YouTube videos that I'm working on, I was thinking we could change it. So the video is actually like going live at a time that one suits me in terms of like when I can be like really present, and maybe even playing around with like the premiere feature on YouTube so we can do like a live chat thing as the video is playing. But then also I need to figure out the best time to upload in terms of viewership or whatever, because if I was going purely on the numbers, I'd be uploading on a Sunday evening, but your girl doesn't want to be uploading videos on a Sunday evening. So yeah, I need to figure out when that would be, but it will be weekly. And I really like having like a day and a time that is set, because that just helps with like production schedule and editor stuff. But I need to figure out what that best time might be. Like if I did play around with premieres, I know a lot of you like, you know, have jobs and work and stuff, but would you watch them? And if you are the kind of people that would tune in for that kind of thing, lunch breaks? Anyway, something to discuss, something to figure out. What types of videos will you be making on the More Hannah channel? So very similar, nothing much will change about the genre of content here. It'll be work stuff, productivity, organization stuff, parenting stuff, fashion stuff, book stuff, like all of the stuff that you're used to seeing here will remain, basically. But then of course, I'm also really excited to kind of take you along this journey and like share the process of this career change and, you know, doing a different kind of freelancing and kind of showing the process of like kind of starting a whole new endeavor and almost a whole new business. So that will be interesting as well to share along the way, and like all the different things that I learn, because there is a lot of unknowns and a lot of things that I need to figure out. So yeah, that's what you can expect. Subscribe. If you feel like making a video about your experiences that might have otherwise sat on the Hannah Witton and Friends channel, e.g. the Hormone Diaries, will you still make that kind of content, and will it go on the More Hannah channel? Super interesting. Yes. I think the only stuff that would fall into this category would be like if I got pregnant again. But I think I wouldn't like brand it as the Hormone Diaries, like, because the Hormone Diaries to me just like, it feels like that was like a Hannah Witton and Friends channel thing. That was that series. And if I get pregnant again, and of course I would want to like share those experiences and everything, I don't know if I would like brand it as such, but I would still want to talk about it, and it would probably happen on this channel. What does this mean for video collabs with our faves like Lena and Lucy? Podcast appearances too? Yeah, so it's just so happened that Lena and Lucy and I haven't like collabed on videos in years, and then suddenly we do 2 in very close succession on my channel. So I wouldn't expect that to happen as often next year. It's just sort of like as and when things come up where it feels relevant, where it feels like we need to all make that video together kind of thing, but no plans so far. But in terms of podcast appearances, this is actually something that I'm really keen to do next year. Now that I won't be working on my own podcast, I actually have more time to like say yes to other podcast opportunities in terms of me guesting on other people's podcasts. So if there are any podcasts that you listen to that you think I should be a guest on, let me know. Kind of in the realm of like work, parenting, like those kinds of themes. That's the shit I want to talk about to other people. And then I can like do my schmoozing, reaching out, being like, hi, can I please be on your podcast? And they'll be like, sorry, no, we're all booked up for this season, which is basically like every email we've sent to people. It all comes round. What will happen to the branding? Obviously, you've done a big rebrand recently. Will you keep the tampon/vibrator emojis, etc.? Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get rid of any of the branding, but there is definitely something to be said for like what we do with the like Hannah Witton and Friends YouTube channel color palette. Like, do we just merge that with this and just kind of like go a bit more crazy with the YouTube color palettes? I don't know. It would feel like a waste just to kind of get rid of them. But obviously, like, we have the big overarching color palette, so those colors are used in lots of other places. I don't know. But yeah, we did do a big rebrand at the beginning of this year. That was definitely, for me, like a push that I needed to like stay engaged with the content for this year. So I'm really glad that we did it because, oh my God, I love the new branding and it's been so good with the podcast and everything. And then there was also this element of like, I'd kind of fallen out of love with a lot of the old branding and just like found it really frustrating to work with and didn't like the look of it. And so the decision might have been made even earlier, or I would be leaving that channel just being like, I don't like how it looks. Whereas now I can be like, step away, look at this thing, I'm really proud of it, it looks great as well, like the branding is happy with that. The next theme is on sex ed. Are you still interested in sex ed stuff personally, as in researching and reading about it for your own interest? So yes, as I mentioned, yes I am. We're going to be doing a Patreon book club, non-fiction sex books, starting with Emily Nagoski's new book, Come Together, which comes out at the end of Jan, beginning of February, so a bit of time. And we haven't quite figured out the logistics of the book club yet. I'll be figuring that out in January, but yeah, if you want to join us, please do. Would you ever be open to posting a sex/relationships video if you find inspiration or drive to do it again after the year's end? Probably not. Honestly, not expecting to find that inspiration and drive again. And also, I find it really useful to make a decision and stick to that decision rather than kind of remaining somewhere in between where I'm then just like, oh, but I could do this and I could do this. I find being in that kind of space very confusing because then I don't know what to focus on and I end up not focusing on anything, not doing anything, or doing everything really poorly. For me, mentally, I would just rather just go, nope, right, close that chapter, done. Then I can like look forwards at other stuff. If the inspiration strikes, if it does, I don't know, I imagine I'll do just what feels right, which right now that feeling is more inclined to like sharing whatever that thing that has inspired me with my patrons or on my newsletter, like that kind of thing, rather than like making a whole YouTube video about it. Do you ever think you'll go back into sex education, even if it wasn't as a content creator one day? This is a really interesting question because definitely one of the things that I considered in my like whole exploration of like, what if I did this? What if this happened? What if this happened? It was like, what if I got a full-time job at Brooke? For instance, like what if I just like got a normal job at a sexual health, sex ed organization? And I realized that that's not something that I'm completely against, but not something that I want to do now. So yeah, maybe in like 20 years time, like, I don't know, what age am I going to end up retiring? I don't know. But for me, that's something that's like not off the cards. But the reason why I'm not like going down that route or chasing that kind of career path now is because I don't want to work a traditional like 9 to 5, like being an employee job. Yes, there are frustrating things with being like a self-employed freelancer, small business owner kind of thing, like I mentioned, with the lack of structure around maternity leave and like what the fuck do you do with that? But there are a lot of pros to it and I have gotten very used to those pros and I am not ready to let them go. And so for me, weighing all of that up, I was like, no, I definitely want to continue working for myself. But you never know, you never know. Our next theme is work/life setup. Are you giving up the studio and fully working from home? I kind of already gave away the answer to this question. Yes. So I've handed in the notice at my studio. The notice period is 6 months. So my lease here ends now at the end of March 2024. So there's also going to be a lot of videos, one or two, I don't know, videos next year on the More Hannah channel of moving out of this space because I'm going to have to like get rid of and sell a lot of my like equipment and furniture and things and then fitting everything that I'm keeping back into the flat. Would you like to keep your part-time/4 days a week working week in your next job? Yes, I absolutely would. One of the things that I said to Dan was like, oh, like, you know, if I'm stopping doing this stuff and I'm gonna have like less work to do, at least at the beginning, like what if I took Rowan on a Wednesday again? Like what if I worked 3 days a week? And in the end, we decided not to do that just in case it was like we pull him out of childcare 1 day a week and then my work picks up and we put him back in and then it's just like a faff and confusing. And the other thing was just like, actually give myself that time. If there is less work to do, enjoy that. Everything always like ebbs and flows. There are quiet times, there are busy times. And so actually just being like, okay, January, February for me, they're going to be like slow, restful, like I'm in research and exploring mode. It's probably not going to be a super busy time for me. Hopefully not, touch wood. And actually, if we did reduce Rowan's childcare hours, then suddenly it might become super busy and intense for me. And so we were like, you know what, we can afford to keep him in 4 days a week. And so I might as well just like take that time to chill out. But yeah, I'll still have the same hours. What do you think / hope your new work schedule, work-life balance will look like? Are you afraid of losing the flexibility? So with the potential new work with working with other people in like a client kind of basis, there is more like fitting around other people's schedules. But I think I'm just gonna have to be really like clear with my work boundaries, because obviously I've got Rowan and I've got childcare responsibilities. And so I wouldn't take on any clients where work is required like outside of those hours, because that's not going to be a good working relationship, because I'm not going to be able to like help them in the way that they need help. So it'll just be a case of finding the right fit. And as long as work takes place within those hours, like that's all the flexibility that I need, really. And then in terms of my new schedule, honestly, I don't know. Like this is one of those things that's going to be like really fun for me to kind of just gradually over time figure out and build. At some point along the line, I definitely want to do that exercise of like creating your ideal work week and like filling it all out on a calendar in terms of like what tasks and what things I'll ideally want to be doing when. But right now is kind of like a lot of unknowns. Who knows? How do you think your weekly schedule will change in the new year? So I don't really have much of a weekly schedule. There is only really one thing that has routinely happened on the same day and time every week. And even then, sometimes it's moved around, and that is filming on a Tuesday morning. And so this is something that might change because we don't have as many videos to film. And also a lot of the more Hannah videos aren't like sit down to camera like this. Some of them are more vloggy, or it gets filmed over a long period of time in small chunks. So my filming schedule is definitely going to change. Other than that, I think it will largely stay the same in terms of like, you know, no week and no day being the same. Our next theme is all about money. Do you regret pouring money into something that potentially didn't pan out as you'd hoped? Or do you feel like what you got out of it still made it worthwhile? So yes, I've mentioned a lot of times the money, the spending. And so that's on things like this studio, team members, working with other freelancers on all the different elements of like creating the videos and the podcasts and stuff. And no, I have no regrets. I think some people might see those kinds of financial decisions as a mistake because ultimately a lot of the things that I spent money on didn't like earn money back. So it wasn't exactly like profitable decisions. And then also obviously ultimately I'm like saying goodbye to that work, but journey before destination. The decisions that I made and the people that I worked with meant that we were able to make all of the videos and the podcast episodes that we have over the last 2 years. And I think they've absolutely been worthwhile. And I think also in a way, you know, stretching myself in that capacity, like in a work sense and also I guess in a financial sense, you know, doing that also helped me realize what it was that I wanted and needed and things like that. So, you know, it's all part of the process, baby. How much of a difference does having another income in the household make to this decision / being able to enact it in this form? Oh my God, huge. And I'm so glad someone asked this question because I went to an event recently that was about like career pivots and it was like aimed at mums. And I was like, oh my God, a mum event about career pivots. Take my money, like I'm going. And I don't feel like this was acknowledged or addressed. There was a lot of chat about like taking risks and like, you know, saying goodbye to like well-paying jobs to like follow your passion and follow your dream. And I was like, who's paying the bills though? Can someone just please acknowledge that they have a rich husband? In terms of me and Dan, yes, Dan's income, like he got a promotion right after Rowan was born. He's now moving into like a more manager-based role, which means his income is increasing, and effectively like everything that I've lost, like the amount of income that since having a baby has decreased for me, he's kind of made up for it. So we're kind of like in the same position that we were in financially before Rowan was born, just my income has taken a hit and Dan's has gone up. And so obviously that plays a huge role, not in terms of whether or not I made the decision, because I think the decision would have been made anyway, but just more of the peace of mind and the security and the decision not stressing me out in a financial sense, and the me being able to take it easy in January and February because Dan has the income. And obviously like I'm still contributing income as well, but just like not as much, which is funny because I was the bigger earner when we met. How did you plan this change financially, particularly as you take a break and transition into a new chapter of your career? Also great question. So I did projections, not super accurate projections. So before I did my expenses breakdown video where I looked specifically at all of the expenses of the last tax year, before I did that, I've always had like an overall sense of my general overheads. So not the like one-off payments of things for like equipment and travel and food or whatever the business pays for, but more like my recurring commitments. So to my team, to the studio, any like bills and software and services and like things that we use that are like on a recurring plan. So I've always known what my overheads are in terms of I need to be making at least this amount of money in order to cover all of these costs. And so what I did, and I was like trying to make the decision of like what it was that I needed to do. I took that, had all my things, all of the rough costs of them all, and then I did different versions of projections. So I did a big cull, so it was like, this is the projection where we like scaled down massively. And then there was another projection which was like a medium scale down of like seeing how much that would still cost, like the overheads, and so then how much I would still need to make. And then I did like income projections as well, not including any future income from like the new like project management work, because obviously that's like non-existent right now. So it was more like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of the Hannah Witton and Friends channel. So like massively reduce the amount that I get from AdSense, massively reduce the amount of money I earn from brand deals, affiliates. I projected that there would be a big drop in Patreon as well, but like since telling patrons, there hasn't been. So thank you guys, even though I like forecasted for like a third of you to leave. So that's wild to me. So then I figured out like with all of the cuts to everything, how much I could potentially be earning, and then looking at my costs in terms of like the big scale down and the medium scale down. So yeah, there was a lot of financial planning in it because I did need to know that the decisions that I was making was viable. I don't think that would have changed the decision in itself to quit, but I think it changed a lot of the like, you know, the smaller decisions of like keeping one thing versus another and like, oh, do I still need this subscription? Do I still need this thing? Does that make sense? Of course there were spreadsheets. What do you expect? Do you have a safety net in place in case things don't work out the way you want them to? One, like I said, I've got my husband, great safety net currently. Two, I worked out that I can still afford to like run everything with more Hannah, Patreon, and like brand deals that I would do on the More Hannah channel and things like that are more like lifestyle focused. So the amount of money that I'm losing in terms of income is kind of balanced out by the amount that I'm reducing my costs by. So I knew that I could just like keep things going like this, and I wasn't in like a situation where I absolutely needed to like have this new career like sorted out, figured out ASAP because of financial pressures. Like there's no stress there, which is obviously like a huge privilege when it comes to like changing careers. But again, like it's a sidestep. It's not like I'm completely changing careers because obviously I'm still doing this part of my job. Oh, I kind of already answered this, but somebody said, how do you think this will affect your Patreon numbers? And they added, I can't be the only one who thinks they will increase as people wish to support you through the transition. That was why I originally signed up during your mat leave. This is wild to me. This is so funny how like my perspective and interpretation of like what I think people will do is just like so different to then what people do and think. So that's really cool. Thank you. But yeah, like I said, I thought that it would decrease. So far I've been proven wrong. Our next theme is new career. So do you already have creators lined up to launch your new career with? So no, but I do have a list of people who I want to reach out to in terms of just putting out feelers. Like I feel like I'm like going back to like the beginning of a career days where it's just all about like networking. I just need to let people know that this is a thing that I'm doing, and maybe I'm not going to work directly with them, but maybe they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. I feel like the strong position that I'm in is that I've been part of this industry for so long, so I do have a lot of connections in this industry. So that to me is like that's my starting off point. The other thing is that I have been gradually telling people as and when I see them, like what I want to do and what I'm planning on doing. And the reaction from other creators is really interesting because it's like, oh my God, you would be so good at that. Oh my God, that is so needed. Oh my God, I need that so much, but I don't think I could afford you. And so I'm like, okay. So I need to figure out like one, what my like business proposition is, like what is it that I'm actually offering people? And then also like the level of creator that I'm going for who would be able to afford my services. And then I really would love to be in a position then when I can offer like free mentoring to creators, especially like my sex and relationships educator, creators who maybe don't have as huge a budget for hiring someone like me to help sort out their shit. So yeah, so there's lots to figure out, but I've got a list and I'm gonna start there. Do you think you'll use your sabbatical to pursue education, whether that be a master's, an online course, or some type of certification? So I've been like looking around at things, definitely not a master's. I flirted with that several years ago. Not for me. But I have found this Google Coursera online course that's all about project management, which I think I'll do. Like, whilst I know really well how to project manage my own business, I think it will be really handy for me to kind of learn some of the fundamentals that can then help me kind of like broaden my knowledge in terms of like helping other people in different situations. And then, you know what, your girl loves Notion and I want to learn how to use Notion better. And there are a lot of courses out there about Notion. So I imagine I'm going to spend a lot of my free time just like watching YouTube videos about Notion. But this is the fun. This is part of the fun of like having my like relaxed January and February where I can just like spend time doing things like that and going down YouTube rabbit holes and things. What are you most excited about in this new phase of your life/career, especially things that might not have felt possible in the YouTube sex educator phase? So I'm excited to read some goddamn books, which is so ridiculous and feels so ironic that like I have to quit being a sex educator in order to read these sex books, but hey, that's how things have ended up. I'm really excited to get like back in the weeds of the like YouTuber and creator industry space. I feel like I was so in it at the beginning of my career, you know, like when you're coming up and like you're discovering new things and new people and collaborating and all of that kind of stuff. And then I kind of just like found my way and then you just kind of like do your own thing. And I'm not as clued in terms of like who's doing what, like what's happening in the space. And like there are obviously so many more creators now than there were when I started. And I'm always just like, who's that person? Never heard of them. And so I'm like excited to like dive back into the industry of it all, because that is something that I feel like I haven't had time to do. I am beyond excited to catch up on my YouTube Watch Later playlist. Ever since Rowan was born, that playlist has been sitting at a healthy 300 videos. Like I'm about 4 months in time behind. So the videos that I'm watching now, like were all published like 4 months ago. I'm always like in the wrong season when I'm watching YouTube, and I'm really excited to like wipe it. I'm excited to just like watch them all and then like start actually watching videos like in real time. And I'm also really excited to go to the cinema in the middle of the day. I have missed going to the cinema in the middle of the day. That's one of my favorite freelancer things to do. And I think I'm gonna give myself some time to do that in January and February a bit. I need it. Which part of other creators' processes are you most interested in seeing or helping them with? Will you be offering one-off consultations as well as working with regular clients? So I imagine it'll start off with one-off situations, because that will be like whilst I'm also figuring out like how it is I can help people. Like, what are your problems? What it is that you need? What are your roadblocks? What are you getting stuck with? And then figuring out how I can help. And I think that will come through having a lot of one-off conversations with people. And then who knows? Then I'm honestly just really open to like playing it by ear and like experimenting and like seeing what sticks, seeing what feels good. Like maybe there'll be regular clients who I work with on a retainer kind of basis. Maybe it's like a kind of like COO role within creators' businesses, but in a freelance capacity. Like, honestly, I don't know. I've been doing a lot of like Googling, obviously, for like project management for creators and like seeing like what else is out there. And I found on this website that do hiring stuff or whatever, and they have lots of job description templates. And there's one that they have for a content project manager. And let me tell you, when I read this job description, I got that feeling of like, oh my God, I want that job. But it was just a template, and so it's not actually a job posting. And it did also, upon reading it, sound like a full-time job, like working for a company that like creates content basically. But it's really good to like have that template for myself in terms of like, this is exciting to me. And so then having that to always kind of like anchor myself in terms of like what I'm looking for. But yeah, if there's a template out there, that means that some people need that kind of role, some people need that kind of person, and I could be that person, we'll see. So there's an element of like when doing project management and when doing like consultations with people, there may be like a coaching element there without like calling it coaching, if that makes sense. And that's more around the kind of like helping people set goals and like figuring out what their priorities are, helping them avoid burnout, kind of looking at their life and career in a more holistic way and looking at like the bigger picture and career in general, and maybe helping them make big career decisions. You never know. That's another capacity in which I could potentially help people, and depending on how much I enjoy that or how much of demand for something like that is, then maybe I might look into like getting some qualifications. But I think for now, whilst it's just like in that exploring mode, you just kind of like, you just do what you do and see what happens. Will you be making content about being a YouTube producer and behind the scenes expert? So sort of, but maybe not in the capacity in which you're asking. I don't know. So I'll always enjoy making content about my work, but what I don't want to do is start making content about how to be a YouTuber, how to be a content creator. Like every so often I do feel like that kind of advice gets sprinkled in my videos because it's something that I know about, but it is very much a thing, and some of you may have seen this, where there is the like educational YouTube videos to email marketing to course funnel pipeline. And that is not a business model that I'm interested in, at least at the moment. Never say never. That kind of business model just does not appeal to me, where you're like making your educational YouTube videos about one thing, and then you're like, oh, if you want more, then sign up to my newsletter to get this free thing. Oh, we're putting on this course about how to do XYZ, which is something that a lot of creators and entrepreneurs do. It's like one of the biggest ways that people make money online. There are whole courses out there about how to run your courses and how to do your funneling and your marketing. And I feel like I've dipped my toe into that world in terms of like watching a lot of the content about how to do that kind of thing and gone, not for me. I'll probably be making videos about my work, but I very much will see my clients and the people that I work with in terms of the project management side of things as different to my YouTube audience. Whereas if you go down that kind of business route, then your clients, the people paying you for things, are the same as your audience essentially. But that's just not going to be the case for me, and I kind of don't want it to be. There'll obviously be some crossover, but like not as a business strategy. Will your skills in communication, being an educator/speaker, be involved in your new role going forward? Probably. Got to always use those soft skills. But one thing that I would love to do more of, because I always love doing things like this, is doing more speaking and events in the kind of creator influencer industry stuff. Whenever I have done things like that, like speaking at events, hosting things, talking on panels, that's more industry focused, I always love that shit. So I would be keen to do more of that. Do you personally know a YouTuber who successfully transitioned to a similar role behind the camera who could give you advice? I do not, but if you know them, then let me know. Okay, and then finally, some advice and final questions. What advice do you have for someone looking to make a change, not necessarily in content creation, but in general? Like where to start, how to work out what you want to do next, steps to take, etc. Big question. First off, watch my How I Decided video, because there's a lot of stuff in there. Talk to people, research, think about it a lot, journal about it a lot. Just really tune yourself in to the decision, to everything that's going on around you. I almost like made it my job to make that decision. I like took it on as a role of like, okay, this is something that I have to do, so I'm going to spend time dedicated to this decision making. Obviously, it's hard to answer your question in any more detail than that without knowing specifics, but start there and then hopefully like the answers will slowly but surely come to you. But always, any big decision that you're making, like, don't put yourself in a situation where your finances are going to be in trouble. Emergency fund, have a job lined up, ready to go, like whatever it is, just make sure that you're not going to be like struggling financially because of a big decision that you're going to make. And then finally, do you feel like you're leaving on a high note? I do. I actually wasn't originally planning on like kind of doing all this celebratory content, but after having a conversation with some of my friends, Lena and Lucy, about this decision, they were like, it's a celebration, like you have to kind of like throw a party. And so I was like, oh yeah, you're right. And that's kind of like the vibe that I've been going for with all of the content and all of the videos, and also like the tone of it all, just to make it really clear to you all, this is a good decision. I feel like I'm leaving on a high note. I'm so proud of everything that we've done this year and also like over the last 12 years. And to me, it does really feel like leaving on a high. There we go. Those are all of your questions. I hope that this answered some of them, all of them. If you do have any more, let me know in the comments and I'll try my best to get back to you. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and I hope that you're all doing well, and I'll see you in the next one tomorrow. Bye!